On the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I've just wondered if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we played yourself and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. Because you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I learned that 6 3 biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on the radio dial. Martin Houston Show also broadcasting on Martin Houston Live on Facebook, as well as Tide 109 Alabama Tradition and my personal page on Facebook, Martin Houston Live on YouTube, and at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. We're live and local and ready to get things going, inviting you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Alabama One hotline is open for business, inviting you to join us on in that conversation. And you can also chat with us on the various chat outlets as well. Bring your thoughts and conversation into the program. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Got a great show lined up for you. Be reaching back out to DC Capstone Report to get things rolling again. In the meantime, got a couple stories that we'll flash back with him a little bit and get his thoughts on some of the things that we've talked about in the past couple of weeks. But today, I want to ask you a question. News broke yesterday that the city of Tuscaloosa is going to be unveiling a statue of Tuscaloosa's champion, Deontay Wilder, world champion in the boxing arena, will be getting a statue. The Bronze Bomber, former 2008 Olympian, bronze medal winner, and of course, as I said, world champion from about 2015 to 2020. So I guess my question and thought is, have we, first of all, do you feel like this is a fitting tribute, and do you feel like somehow, some way that we missed a great opportunity to really honor and appreciate what he has done, what he accomplished? Has Tuscaloosa, the hometown of the former world champion, really appreciated, understood, recognized, celebrated, whatever word you want to use, Deontay Wilder for what he accomplished and how long he held onto that world championship belt? So you'd love to get your thoughts on the Bronze Bomber, and is this a fitting tribute, and should we do more? And we'll talk about that, as well as a couple other things regarding the football world. Start looking at Alabama in terms of position grouping and rankings and ratings and all of those things. But on the front, news from Alabama fans know all about the nation's number one, of course, player Arch Manning. But Alabama also getting some official visit news from Mr. Eli hosting, and we're going to talk to DC about that. And when we were having our conversation last week, Eli seems to be the choice of the people so far, and he has set an official visit for the capstone in just a few weeks, the weekend of June 10th. Like to know if you think, will Nick Saban go ahead and accept that commitment if he decides to commit after that weekend? So, or will we continue to wait in the Arch Manning sweepstakes and let things keep going? So that'll be an interesting conversation. We'll get DC's thoughts on that. Looks like Fox is going to be broadcasting the Alabama-Texas game. Are you excited as far as the Alabama-Texas game? Is that the most anticipated game right now if you were going into the schedule for Alabama's schedule for 2022? Would that be the biggest game that you'd be looking forward to right now in terms of Sark and the Texas Longhorns? And of course, also due to the fact that there's several former Alabama players and probably none more anticipated than to see what Mr. Ajay Hall does at Texas, because out there they love their players. Their fans out there love their players so much more than the fans do out here in in Tuscaloosa. Uh, and is this, once again, in regards to this Texas game, Mason, and we'll kind of stop right there for a moment, and we'll circle back with those other questions when we get DC on. But what are your thoughts of, first of all, Fox gets the week 2 matchup, and I haven't watched a lot of games on Fox, so I'm not going to say good or bad per se, but what are your initial thoughts? And there's one glaring thing about this that frustrates me, and once again to me shows somewhat a lack of respect.
I mean, I'm just really frustrated to see that the game's going to be on Fox, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yep.
I look, Fox does a fine job. Whatever, Big Noon Kickoff is cool and all. I love when those Big 12 teams play each other, but I don't want any business with it. I'm not a huge fan of Gus Johnson and Joe Platt as a duo. Personally, I don't think they're a great announcing duo. I think Gus Johnson makes every play sound a little too exciting, so that the big plays kind of lose their weight a little bit. And I wish that game was going to be at night. I'm not a fan of it being on Fox.
Yeah, and it's not just that it's on Fox. It's at 11 o'clock right now. Well, I mean, why would you have? I don't get it. I just even I guess I'm trying to think. I wonder. I need to look at who else is playing that day, and and sometimes it's because of who you are, but it's disrespectful to those respective fan bases. They can play. They can play Alabama at any time, and they're still going to have great ratings. And I think that sometimes cost Alabama, if that makes sense. Um, you can't play. You put most teams at 11 o'clock, and it's going to be a bust on television, and the fans may not show up. So it is that's. I've watched the SEC do this, and now whether Texas is relevant or not, whether Texas is good or not, Texas has a humongous fan base, and so to me, that's the part not just it being Fox, but also it being at 11 o'clock. Shows a little bit of disrespect. Let me see. CJ says, does Texas have some ridiculous good record playing at 11 o'clock? In other words, I guess CJ said, are they playing at 11 o'clock because it gives Texas a fighting chance? But I don't know, Mason. I'm like, you go ahead.
Texas leads the all-time series between us and Alabama. They lead the series 7-1.
What? So the only time we beat Texas was the national championship game?
The only time Alabama has ever beaten Texas was 2009.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Well, we'll have to start working on evening that schedule up. We must. That is interesting.
I thought the same thing. I had no idea that was the case. I wrote the story yesterday about the a TV station being announced, and just in doing some research, found out that sure enough, Texas has dominated the series.
Wow, that would be one of. There's not a lot of programs that have a winning record over us, much less a dominant winning record over us. So I know Notre Dame had a winning record. That was the only team that had a winning record, I think, over Coach Bryant in terms of if they played multiple games. That now you have me intrigued, Mason, of who else would have similar success over Alabama. That would be an interesting research. But yeah, it's just I don't know, man. 7-1 and playing at 11 o'clock in Texas, just not. Just frustrating. Just frustrating. You. The good part is the game is. You can wake up and pretty much take care of a couple things and watch the game. But other than that, you to me you don't put, especially two marquee programs at 11 o'clock. That's Jefferson Pilot stuff. Uh, and we'll see what other fans. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of reaction from the fan bases regarding that particular uh, matchup. But we'll give our thoughts on it. Coming back on the other side, we'll add DC to the conversation. We'll get his thoughts on Alabama's official visit set by Eli Holstein. We'll get his thoughts on the city, and I'll get your thoughts as well, Mason. Let's get your thoughts on the Deontay Wilder comment. Have we really appreciated what he accomplished, and did the city miss a golden opportunity potentially while he was a world champion? And we'll talk about those things as well as a couple other things regarding Alabama football. You're welcome to bring more content to the table, and you can do it by calling us on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. Alabama One is the place you need to go if you're looking to get any type of financial assistance or services, whether it be credit cards, whether it be loans for consumer, auto, home, mortgages, HELOCs, line of credit, refis, whether you're looking for financial wellness, whether you're looking for wealth advisory, money management, all of those services, as well as insurance, full service insurance agency there. That's Alabama One. Also, great promotion going on right now. I'll tell you more about that later on in the program, right here on the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet as we start our Tuesday morning. No active wrecks, traffic pretty light. If you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on any used car at Townsend Nissan. See dealer for details. I'm Captain Ray.
Don't go through another summer with that awful joint pain. Call QC Kinetics now. Hey, it's Gary Harris. That pain in your back, your knees, your shoulders, it can now be treated with the latest in precision medicine using natural biologics. growth factors that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Really exciting stuff here, folks. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving you access right here to this modern-day joint pain solution. You can get lasting joint pain relief with no drugs, no steroids, no downtime, and no surgery. You've heard Emmett Smith raving about QC Kinetics. You've read or seen other high-profile people talking about it. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics can help you get your life back. Take action now. Get a free consultation. Powerful, effective joint pain treatments with natural biologics are here. Call QC Kinetics now at 205-686-1941 in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. 205-686-1941. That's 205-686-1941.
Cruise into your summer vacation this year in a world-class BMW. Come to BMW of Tuscaloosa and get acquainted with the ultimate driving machines. Each model is individually crafted with a spacious interior, impeccable design, and even selectable drive modes. With the push of a button, choose luxurious comfort, peppy performance, or gas economy. BMW of Tuscaloosa, Skyland Boulevard East.
Levels tomorrow and Thursday, the sky sunny both days. The high tomorrow 93, the high Thursday at 95. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 60 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith at Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. We have DC Capstone Report joining us. Good morning, DC. How you doing, sir?
Oh, doing great. How you doing this morning?
Doing well. Glad to have you back. Hopefully you're refreshed and revived and ready to hit this summer stretch. But glad to have you back in the conversation with the Martin Houston Show, man.
Well, glad to be back. Had a great vacation. Enjoyed it. And glad to be back at home and back in the South.
What's a vacation? No. Hey, one quick thing, DC. While you were out, I noticed that you got a little love shout out from James Spann from one of the pictures you sent in while you were out.
Yeah, it was amazing. I took that picture off the ship that we were on, and of course the captain. We were never in any danger. The captain did a great job of steering us clear, as they do always storm. But I got a nice picture of some water spouts, and then of course we don't have service. A couple of days later, I get back home and I got thousands of notifications that people ask me if I'm okay on Facebook. Things. And then I got a tweet this morning from the Weather Channel, and they could use that picture. So apparently they thought it was a much greater picture than I did. That's my took it. It often happens when you for a moment you take a picture and you capture a moment that a lot of folks don't get to see. There were actually 4 water spouts and one thundercloud about 400 yards off of our other side of the ship. So it was a great moment to capture.
Well, DC, you kind of set it up. I'm gonna get to Alan, but you just said something that I want to ask you about. Missed a moment that you don't recognize it while it's happening sometimes because you're in the middle of it, and we have several of those I think happening or that have happened simultaneous in Tuscaloosa. That we really have not fully appreciated it, I don't think. But I'm going to come back to that. Alan, thanks for your patience. You're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. Dante Wilder, I'm glad they are getting the trophy. but boxing has been down. Man, I'm an 80s baby. You know, I'm sorry. I'm born in '69, and I was raised in the '80s with Tyson and all them.
Yep.
I think they should have gave him what they're doing for him now. But at the same time, I just wish he would have took his losses more graciously than making excuses.
Oh, I agree that and I think that's part of the reason I said what I said, Alan, is because to me, because of the way he lost, I think that kind of tainted what he accomplished a little bit. Because his losses were at the end, not. I mean, he made a 5-year run as the world champion, but what do we remember a lot? What do we remember mostly?
I remember that I remember more Tyson Fury
Right.
than I will him because what he accomplished and what he over not what Tyson Fury accomplished, but what he overcame to accomplish what he did.
Right, and that's
what I remember most.
Yep, and that's kind of like the way he went out so far. I mean, I guess he could come back. I mean, George Foreman, I think, still fighting, but do what? That's right. So I won't say he's done, but the last taste we have, kind of sours it, I think, a little bit. But DC, what are your thoughts on what Alan had to say? I'm going to circle back on that now.
Well, I understand what Alan's saying. I think that's correct to some extent. I think, but I do think the city of Tuscaloosa missed a great opportunity to honor a heavyweight champion. You know, there's not many of those. You can't line up any of those in Tuscaloosa. Not many of those in the southeast. And you know, I've traveled around the United States, and most other places honor their local boxing heroes with statues or whatever. In Philadelphia, they have a statue to Rocky Balboa, who was a fictional. I've often wondered why we didn't do something for Deontay Wilder, just being from Tuscaloosa. You know, one of the things I always teach everyone when I'm trying to teach any classes or anything is just this concept that as human beings, we concentrate on the negative much more than we concentrate on the positive.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we've done with Deontay Wilder. We've really missed a great opportunity to celebrate his accomplishments because of the way his defeats have ballooned so much greater in our minds. And I think that is in every situation, the way humans are kind of geared to do that, concentrate on the negative instead of the positive.
Yeah, and Alan, do you have anything else? I don't want to hold you on if you had something else because I'm about to dig into that conversation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask one question. What's the chance of us getting Addison?
Jordan Addison?
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer it, but can I kick that conversation down the road? You're out driving today, or you in town?
I'm in Texas right
now. All right, hey, you need to go ask them what's going on with that 11 o'clock game, man. What's wrong with them people out there? But anyway, be safe on the road, Alan. I do think let me say what I personally thought there was zero chance. I've heard that there's a possibility, and then we'll dig into that later. Okay.
Okay, y'all have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Alan. But DC, I like you said, I think we miss. I don't think we fully appreciate. There's only a couple champions of the world at any given time, period, in that sport. And of course, boxing isn't viewed as highly as it was when we were coming along and growing up and all that stuff. And there may not be as many good boxers or whatever, but you had a local kid who got into boxing extremely late in his life, um, and proceeded to elevate himself all the way to a heavyweight champion. Um, and I know some inside stuff. My heart hurts because the University of Alabama, when he fought in Birmingham, D.C., had an opportunity to host that fight at Coleman Coliseum. Um, and wouldn't do it and never did anything. That probably the disappointment for me, is that that not that I would have even gone to the fight, but to me to have that type of opportunity, to host a world championship fight, that would have been as big a sporting event, and maybe that's why they didn't. As big a sporting event as anything ever held in Tuscaloosa, since we don't get to hold championships on our home field when it comes to sports, especially a big one in football. So I think the city, I think the university, I even think myself, and I put myself in that category, did not fully appreciate, recognize that we had a world champion um, boxer, the one of the world champions in boxing in our hometown.
I agree 100%. I think it was just a terrible decision on the university's part, the city's part, not to push it forward and host that event. And we could have done that. We are the city of Tuscaloosa hosts 100,000 people 7 times a year for an Alabama football game. There's no reason that we couldn't have hosted and made provisions for all the media that needed to be here, in fact, for that boxing match. And I think that was just a sad day that we missed out an opportunity to celebrate a local champion, a world champion. And I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of political reasons behind that. I'm sure the university had a lot of reasons they didn't want to get involved in that. But there was no reason that we couldn't host it, and so I think that was a very disappointing thing. And I think the city has really been so delayed on they had 5 years of him being heavyweight champion to do something to celebrate his accomplishments, and I think it's just way too late on what they're planning on doing now.
Yeah, Mason, I'd like to get your thoughts on the Deontay Wilder story as well.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with the sentiment that I think you both have, where it's this. I wish the city had done more for him. It seems like they've kind of wanted to. I don't know. I don't want to say that because he didn't go to the University of Alabama, the city's almost forgotten about him, but it kind of seems that way. It seems like they want to focus on the athletes that come out of the university and just forget about the people that are just actual local stars like Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Someone told me, and I laugh at this because to me it's hilarious. They were like, "Well, they didn't want to do it because they didn't want that element coming to Tuscaloosa," and I was like, "What element? You're talking about the entourage and all of that follows boxing?" I said, "Do you not think that some of that same element follows Alabama football? Have you have you watched Alabama play on a national championship when Kobe Bryant is responding to AJ McCarron and Barrett Jones pushing each other?" And this was before Coach Coach Saban had him come in. Responding to that, you see all of the big time stars that be at those games. Man, I don't know what element they were talking about. Maybe they're talking about the gambling element. Oh, that exists as well. I just maybe the mafia. I guess that's what it was. I don't know. But anyway, I think the university and the city missed a great opportunity. Thus, once again, not being political here, but thus a city like Tuscaloosa needs to be able to host an event like that without the university's buy-in. We need to have some type of facility here in this city that we could do it without the university, if that makes sense. So I think that's a problem in and of itself. I think we're in the same boat sometimes with Coach Saban as well. I think we celebrate him a little bit more, but I still, DC, don't know that we fully appreciate what we're in the midst of. And when historians look back at this era, they're going to see that we had the greatest football program uh, in modern football history, and they're going to see we had the world champion, and they're going to go, wow, that city blew a great opportunity to maximize those two moments.
Most definitely. I don't think we appreciate Coach Saban as fans, as a city, for what he's done for this city outside of football. I mean, we don't even celebrate that as well. So I mean, I don't think that people. I guess you got to, but like you said earlier, you don't know when you're in that moment. But I just came from a cruise, and on a cruise ship, Martin, it's like a mini
City,
cultural,
yeah.
multicultural place in itself. And as I wore my Alabama stuff, there was people on there that were from Texas and from LSU and all kind of fans. But every person that came to me with Alabama stuff had a comment, whether it was Roll Tide or something derogatory. They always followed it up with a comment of how much they respected Coach Saban.
Yeah.
What he Alabama. And other fan bases know about it. They would probably never want to be publicized about saying it, but I think sometimes other fan bases respect what we have a lot more than what we do. We're in the middle of it.
Absolutely. The passage of scripture that says a prophet is without honor in his own hometown. And Jesus could do no great miracle because everybody was familiar with, hey, isn't that the kid that grew up down the street? I think Deontay Wilder suffered from that. And I put myself in that category. I've told the story many times, so I won't go into all the details, but I remember when his mom told me at IHOP, oh, my son took up boxing. And I remember Deontay from Central High School wanting to play for the University of Alabama. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I didn't say that word, but that's kind of my response was, oh, that's nice. And then the next time I was in there or ran into her, she's like, oh, he's going to the Olympic trial. Like, oh, that's nice. And then it was he made the Olympic team. Oh, that's nice. Oh, he won a bronze. Oh, okay, maybe I need to. And now he's a world champion. And I think sometimes he had to overcome that in a lot of our heads. But C.J. Watson, I'm going to go to break on this. C.J. Watson sums it up best. He said, it is odd that he longed to bring a worldwide spotlight to the university and city, and he was shunned for it. Triple exclamation point. So strange. I can't think of any city around our size that wouldn't do everything in its power to make it happen. Well, there's a city that did it, and that's Tuscaloosa. But just maybe this is the beginning of that. Deontay Wilder being honored with a statue. Thank you, sir, for many years as a boxing representative and 5 years as a world champion. Congratulations to world champion Deontay Wilder. We'll come back on the other side and we'll turn back to some sports talk. We'll get DC's thoughts on a couple things he missed out on in the last week. We'll have that conversation. We'll bring Pat into the conversation, and we'll be glad to bring you into the conversation as well. 205-342-9904 for the Alabama One hotline is open for business.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. A bit of congestion on McFarland eastbound at Worley and on Rose Boulevard at the County High. If you see other conditions, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Now you can get a lifetime powertrain warranty on any used car at Townsend Nissan. See dealer for details. I'm Kevin Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, it's double the regular premium package. Drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient. Visit driveelectricalabama.com to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the Alabama Clean Fuels Coalition, the ABA, and this station. In Joe Biden's America, inflation is out of control, interest rates are skyrocketing, and your grocery bill has nearly doubled. Folks in Tuscaloosa and Pickens counties are worried about how they will provide for their families. Well, Ron Bolton has a plan. Ron Bolton will cut taxes on small businesses and working families. Ron Bolton will fight back against D.C. and the liberal policies causing inflation. On May 24th, vote conservative Ron Bolton.
Paid for by Ron Bolton Campaign. P.O. Box 632, Northport, Alabama 35476.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com, that's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We have DC Capstone Report. DC, glad to have you back with us. We got some conversation we're going to talk about regarding the Alabama game being on Fox. We're going to talk a little bit about recruits being in town or setting visits, some NIL, getting your thoughts on that, as several, of course, while you're out, the big announcement by the NCAA, we're going to, I don't know what they're going to do, but they made a big announcement that pretty much said nothing. And I think there's been several states that have reacted to it that shows just how much credibility the NCAA has. So we'll get to all of that, but let's bring in Pat. Pat, you're in with the Martin Houston Show, DC Capstone Report on the Alabama 1 hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, DC. DC, I just wanted to say I agree with y'all. It's an absolute travesty the way that they did Dante Wilder, and it showed an extreme lack of vision by the powers that be. And I mean, it's just there's no words to describe how horrible and what could have been brought, the missed opportunity of what could have been brought to the city of Tuscaloosa. But anyway, the other part of my call this morning is, when is our new field general to be going to get the 5th star on his lapel? Man, I like the idea of my general being a 5-star. What do y'all think?
Well, I think
think based on, you're talking about Eli, right? Holstein?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
I think based on his performance at the Elite 11 in Las Vegas, I mean, goodness gracious, if you saw any of those testing, he was off the charts on that. I don't think there's any way to keep him from having his star.
Oh, absolutely. But, and it's, I like to put air quotes the Alabama boom. Hey, I'll take that too.
Yeah, I don't think that'll hurt him at all. But definitely, I mean, you just see where he tested on the different skill levels. I mean, he's off the charts higher than most of the NFL quarterbacks when they tested at Salem Smith.
He's way ahead of our Hawaiian bunch for sure.
Oh, for sure, not just him, but many others. I think if you look at the testing, he's ahead of other quarterbacks that are playing in the NFL.
He's the highest rated quarterback ever, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and
I don't think he has a national record. The national record is completely a little bit higher than him, but you go back through and look at Tua, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, all are great quarterbacks here. He's higher than them.
Let's look at the level of competition that he had in Louisiana compared to Arch. That I wanted a meaning just because they weren't smart enough to send Eli to Tuscaloosa. They showed us Eli should come to Tuscaloosa. It could have been great. No telling how much the sky was limit for him. May have actually got to where he would have passed Peyton, bless his heart. But but back to all jokes aside, Eli Holstein played in a real high school versus pretend.
Your favorite recruit played at a joke high school too. Now, you know who your favorite high school is, right? You know who your favorite recruit is, right?
Hey, Henry didn't play Henry played at a real high school.
He played at a 2A.
Yeah, but he played on national TV, and when he did, he shined.
What? So does he? So does Arch. I mean, I'm saying Arch clearly is dominant over his profession. I mean, his class.
Still, there's no doubt he's a man playing against boys.
Yes. So that does not just his lack of competition. I don't think hurts Arch because of his pedigree. Do what?
Yeah. Well, he's got the name too, but my son says, and he's pretty good at evaluating things, and he said that, and his feelings of it is that Eli is light years above Archie, little Arch. And we shall see. Hey, as they say, time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Hey, listen. I mean, I've seen the pedigree from that family, so I'm not. I mean, Eli being better than Arch doesn't mean Arch isn't good. So I'm not gonna dog Arch in the competition he played against.
I'm just saying that Eli Holstein is not getting the accolades that he deserves.
Well, I mean, you have to come from somewhere, Pat, and you have to understand that Arch came onto the scenes because of his last name. So, in reality, Eli is the fact that Eli is we're talking about Eli the way we are. I think the rating services they're smart, man. Why would they jump? Why would they jump Eli up right now? What benefit would it give them to jump Eli to a 5-star right now? Do you not think that these recruiting services are businesses and they got me and you and DC and the rest of the world talking right now? And what are we anticipating and what are we waiting on, Pat? Why we keep going back to these recruiting services when it comes to Eli Holstein? We're wanting to see what?
When he gets that best star. Hey,
right.
But what the other thing is, hey, what you just mentioned a few minutes ago, you didn't talk much about it. Hey, if Alabama picks up another wide receiver for 2022, the rest of the college football world is going to lose their mind.
Talking about Addison?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll get DC's thought on that on that in a minute. Thanks, Pat. You got anything else for us?
Y'all, now I'm gonna listen to y'all. What y'all think about it? Hey, the rest of college football world losing their mind. Y'all have a blessed day, DC. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Pat. Well, DC, for me, I look at it from the standpoint, DC, if you were to drop the I and put Manning, sort of like they did Arch Manning, where they dropped the I and E. If you drop the I off of Eli and put Manning on the end, and we were recruiting L Manning, I think Eli would be the higher rated quarterback. But there's some credence to pedigree. There's some credence to DNA. I mean, let's just be real. Um, Many people talk about Cooper possibly was Arch's dad was possibly the best athlete of the entire family. They just didn't put him at quarterback. They chose to put him at wide receiver, and he had some health issues over at Ole Miss. Well, when you take dad's athleticism, the DNA of the family, and all of those things. I mean, you don't have to dog Arch Manning to like Eli Holsting. I think Eli Holsting may end up being the better of the two. He may not, because there's more to quarterback than measurables. But right now, as a high school kid, if you were to take the names out the back of the jerseys, I'm not sure that I wouldn't be all in on Eli Holsting.
I agree 100%. There's no reason to dog Arch Manning. He is good at don't you talk about his small school play or the school of people he played with. He's good on his own. He has a pedigree, which really does mean something. He has a lot of football acumen in his mind as a quarterback from Peyton and Eli pouring into him over the years. That stuff you can't put a price on or put a star on. That kind of tutoring that he got from two of the all-pro quarterbacks. So, but you can't dog him. You can't dog Eli Holsting for not having the Holstein. You can't dog him for not having all those things, because he has some physical attributes that obviously cause him to rise to the top. And
right.
Some challenges, and that's beginning to show. So I think it's only a matter of days before we get this star. And I agree with you. That's just a clickbait thing. They're trying to keep us coming back and looking at it.
That's right. Hey.
It's a matter of when, not if, based on his own personal development that he's done and shown in these Elite 11 classes. And I like that. I would be happy with either one of those quarterbacks.
Right.
But just because you don't get one quarterback doesn't mean that the next quarterback you're getting is your second or third choice. I'm sure Coach Saban has 4 or 5 quarterbacks on the board, and he'll be able to build around whoever he gets out of this recruiting class.
Do you think Eli Holsting? Do you think he commits? And would Saban prefer to go ahead and get this over with?
In my opinion, I think Saban would be well to go ahead and get it over with. In my opinion, I don't think Arch Manning has Alabama at a higher level, not because of Alabama football team, but because of what I've heard him say and his family say, that he wants to concentrate on the college lifestyle. And Coach Saban is not the coach to come play for if you want to have a college lifestyle. Coach Saban is the coach to come play for if you want to have a career in the NFL and you want to dedicate to your craft to work. It's kind of like a business when you come to Alabama, and a lot of the players will tell you that. It's kind of like a business. I think if you want the college lifestyle, then Austin or Athens is a better place to go. That's what you're looking for.
And
I think he thinks he's going to get to the NFL on his own skill and on his name anyway. And so I really think that Texas or Georgia is probably on his higher list than Alabama. So if it was me, I would go ahead and get a commitment from Eli Holsting and move on from it.
Yeah, and I would say that probably puts that definition or description you just gave probably puts him more likely in Austin than in Tuscaloosa or Athens, because Kirby is Alabama light over there. in terms of his approach to the game as well. That's pretty business minded.
I think that's why Texas is right now the leader in the clubhouse.
Yep.
I think it's because of the lifestyle that he wants to. I mean, if you go back and listen to some of the NFL players that came to the University of Alabama on what they had to go through to get to where they were, they didn't have much of a. The ones that made it didn't have much of a college lifestyle. Quarterback, whatever it was. I love Jonathan Allen. Jonathan Allen is a great player at the University of Alabama. He came in to this university with some ideas of what the university life was going to be like. But quickly, he'll tell you that those were all changed when he got into the process and learned to adapt to the process, which took him a little while to do. But when he did, look at what he accomplished in it. So I think that's something that every player coming in has some ideas of what the college lifestyle is going to be like, and when you get to play at the University of Alabama under Coach Saban, under that process of it's not really what you anticipate.
Yeah, in DC, that would explain why the likes of John Harbaugh and Jeffrey Leary, a head coach of the Ravens and owner of the Eagles, saying, "Hey, why aren't we drafting?" Harbaugh said Alabama players are most NFL ready, and Leary said, as his GM, why aren't we drafting more of those Alabama football players because they're NFL ready? So and that's to your point. I want to transition real quick, but before I do, Blind Squirrel Sports, who joins us on social media accounts, he's a Georgia fan, DC. He said, "I won't dog Arch either, but I might bark a little if he becomes a dog." So,
And they should.
Yeah, that's right.
Great to do that. They should do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like I said, I don't think either team, whoever ends up with Eli Hosting and Arch Manning, I think is going to have a quarterback of the future for 3 years and counting, based on what they decide to do. DC, we're going to go ahead and go straight on through. Tell our listeners, why you're able to be on with me and what you do each and every day.
Yeah, well, DCCapstoneReport.com, DCCapstone Facebook page, and I'm able to be here because of Lance Shores. He's my partner in this, and he has two websites, RollTideBama.com or FreelanceFixers.com, that allows me to be with you each Tuesday, and we have this podcast it's on Alabama football that we put up with. It's on hiatus right now during the summer, but as players begin to report back, we start our podcast up and run all the way through the end of the football season. So you can catch us here and catch us on our website, and follow me on Twitter, DavidCop50.
All right. That's DC Capstone Report. We transition to the Alabama One Insurance 2-minute warning. Alabama One Insurance, AlabamaOneInsurance.com. DC, couple rapid fire questions for you. What are your thoughts on this Texas and Alabama being on Fox and at 11 a.m.?
Unbelievable that you put two marquee programs, Alabama versus Texas, on a 11 o'clock day. I just don't understand it. Don't even get it. I mean, half the West Coast won't even be awake by the time we start playing. Doesn't even make sense why you put a game like that. But that's what these partnerships done. I think it's at Texas. Their league has a deal with Fox, and I think they wanted to make sure it was their marquee matchup of the week, and they wanted to use it. Now, this won't happen in the days ahead for Texas because part of the SEC. This would be a night game on ESPN, in my opinion, or ABC, if it was in the ESPN package.
All right. Greg Armstrong said Fox is trying to build this new noon time slot as their premier slot versus going against the 2:30 CBS and the nightcap with ESPN. So that makes sense for them. It makes no sense for the rest of the college sporting world. DC, I'll give you closing thoughts, sir.
Well, we talked a lot today about football and other things, and I think one thing we talked about that's been a lot that should be talked about more is the Deontay Wilder lack of respect for what we've done for him in Tuscaloosa. If I was you, I would try to get JG's on my show. I know you got a contact there right there in your group with Coach Sanderson, and who you grew up in his neighborhood. You get him on on Jay is a friend of mine, and I think he would tell you exactly all behind the scenes stuff of what Booth is actually missed out on.
I'll look at that recommendation. Jay's one of my lunch buddies every so often, so may have to see what he's up to as well post Deontay Wilder. Thanks, DC. Tell them where they can find you on Twitter, DC.
DavidCon50 at DavidCon50.
All right,
Picture some phone clouds on there.
all right, thanks. Hey, I'm Martin Houston. That's DC Capstone Report, DCCapstoneReport.com. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of this show. Want to remind you, hey, 3 days and counting to Awakening, the Awakening service on Thursday at 6:30 at the Link, 610 Watermelon Road in Northport. The Awakening, a community-wide worship service, intimate worship, powerful teaching of the word. All welcome. Come out and be a part. I'm Martin Houston. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide, everybody.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.